Hi there, everybody. So, today I watched a few vids. I was just kind of surfing around YouTube, slumming as it were, and ended up watching a few vids on education, or more to the point, how school, at least here in America, probably a lot of other nations, is similar to like prison. And, it kind of gets you with that whole herd mentality thinking thing. And But I thought, since I can only really make a video response to one video, I figured I'd just put one out there so that way nobody can see it. Nah, I don't know. I subbed, they should sub back, whatever. but, and, it's kind of six of one, half a dozen of the other. Because on one hand, you've got in any average high school, you've got, anywhere between 800 and 3,000 students, with not enough funds really for to cover it all. I mean, so you've got these kids being mass processed through by underpaid, understaffed teachers and babysitters. I mean, hell, there's almost more cops there nowadays than teachers. Ever since people decided to start walking into school and shooting it up, and to be honest with you, though I don't endorse or condone school shooting sprees or bringing weapons into school unless it's like a martial arts combat school. I'm not one of those people who says I can't understand what was going through their minds, because you know what? I was bullied like no other up until about halfway through junior high, and I mean, well, probably bullied like a few others, but uncommonly. Nonetheless, there were several times I thought about grabbing my stepdad's 38 and walking up in there and blowing a bunch of people's freaking heads off. I'm YouTube friends with like at least one of them, the ringleader back then, and I really hope he watches this video and is like, damn, Rob almost blew my freaking head off when I was like 10. Yeah, I almost did. but, in fact, if I had known, I mean, in fact, respect for this kid's life did not even equate into it, right? What really changed my mind was the fact that I was afraid I was going to go to prison for murdering somebody. Had I known that at 10 years old, you don't go to prison for murdering people, they send you home to your parents, bad you don't know right from wrong. Seriously, this guy would have been friggin' dead. You know, Whatever, it happens. Hopefully nowadays, I don't know, whatever. That's not what this vid's about, though. Um, so, anyways, yeah. So now they have a whole bunch of police, metal detectors, and all that other stuff. Not even just for regular, plain old gang violence, which is like practically acceptable nowadays. But I mean, just to keep kids from shooting each other because they can't handle the stress, they break. I guess a lot of it's from the other kids. Man, people are need to not text me when I'm recording. Sorry. Anyways, but now my experience with school, and that's basically where I'm coming from with this. My experience with it was not unique, but out of the norm. Um, because I was kind of raised to a certain point to be able to think for myself, which is something that a lot of parents, speaking as a parent, that a lot of parents just don't have the time or the inclination to do. I mean, you want your kid to think for themselves, but you don't want to have to spend, hours and hours and hours going through all the crap to get them that way. Um, Here nor there. But anyhow, so by the time I was in junior high school, I think I had only skipped school maybe once. because, oh, sorry. I think I had only skipped school like once. And that was, well, I don't remember that one particular time. But I was having a lot of issues, social issues. I mean, I was going through some stuff at home, which, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that because, yeah, it's a sensitive area. But nonetheless, I mean, there was a lot of stress, and all that other stuff. And my schoolwork had started to slack a little bit. So they decided to put me in this at-risk program. Now, I don't know if anybody is really familiar with at-risk or any programs like it, but what that is it's special classes for kids who are at risk of quitting school. Now, at this point, I wasn't at risk of quitting school. It was about my only solitude. But by the time I got to high school, I pretty much was running away from home constantly and all that other stuff. So I, when I'm at school, I started developing apparently um, individual thought. I started doing things like questioning, what they were taught. Why does it say this in a book? I've read this in a different book, which is just as credible. They don't like that because it slows the whole process. And so I started realizing, I mean, doing more and more reading and stuff. This is before the internet, so I actually had to do the footwork and walked out to the library. Thankfully, it was only about a half a mile away, and it was pretty cool. It was all pointy and glass, lots of books, and libraries are supposed to have those, I guess. Um, and It turned out that I was actually, since I was taking the extra initiative to learn more independently from what the school was teaching us, their curriculum, I was actually learning it better and faster. I'm not saying, hey, look at me, I'm a genius. I'm just saying that cause effect. When you study, you learn. Okay? So, which is why I know a whole lot of stuff about things like American history, but next to nothing about stuff like math. The math is boring. Not anymore, but I'm digressing. But so, anyways, I started realizing that the stuff they were teaching in class, I already knew. So, bear with it once, but then one of the kids in the classroom doesn't quite pick it up, so they got to go through it all over again, and being more irritable and stuff. And apparently, I did not agree with that. I did not like the idea that I had to learn something I already knew 3 or 4 more times because some idiot in the back of the classroom wasn't paying attention and isn't paying attention this time. Who gives a shit about him? Well, or her, I guess. Well, the schools thought that since I was voicing my opinion about that, and since my parents weren't like rich enough to be able to afford all kinds of things like AP placement programs and stuff, that they were going to do the next best thing and put me in special ed. Yeah, apparently I had behavior problems. And so they took me, somebody who was pissed off because I already knew what they were teaching, and put me into fucking special ed. So here I am now in ninth grade reading third grade books with, I don't know. I mean, a few of the people in there really did kind of need to be there, but I wasn't the only one who was put there just because they couldn't shut up and toe the line. So that is my example. And eventually I ended up having to stab some kid with a nail 3 times. Not in, well, he was in that class, but this is at lunch. So that makes it all better. He didn't die. He probably has, I hope he has a scar. I hope it doesn't hurt. I hope he looks down and he's like, damn, don't ever mess with Rob. Seriously, I'll poke your ass with a nail. And they expelled me from school. They were happy to do it. I was happy to get the hell out of there. And I continued my education with, well, independent reading. I mean, I guess the point is that yeah, school is good to a certain extent. I mean, it will motivate you, forces you to learn things. Excuse me, forces you to learn things that you normally wouldn't go out of your way to learn. I mean, I spell very well, and use words and punctuation and such pretty well. The reason is because of school. Okay, part of it's my mom. She's kind of a Nazi like that, but not a literal Nazi. I mean, that I know of. I don't know. Nazis hide nowadays. But I'm pretty sure she's not. She's from Ohio. So, but, you know, after that, though, and also to say that, yeah, it's structured that way to streamline the system. Because no nation, I'm not just talking about America, I'm talking about this is a global problem where schools and education don't get enough funding. I mean, how the hell do you expect somebody to do a $10 million a year job on like $500,000? Yeah, I know numbers are off, but dude, I told you math, okay, and not my strong point. But I mean, if somebody do the research and post in a comment or something. You don't have to though. But yeah, I mean, after that, if you step out of line, in my experience, they will punish you. They will punish you for being an individual. So my advice is be an individual, but keep it hidden. Be an individual within your own group. And when you actually understand and learn and see that more and more people are being individuals, then come out. I mean, school systems, law enforcement, governments, they can stifle you. They can put you down for being an individual with independent thought, but they cannot. They can't stop you from being an army of individuals. I mean, you get two, three, 400 people in America or Britain or France or whatever who's just talking stuff like this. They can stifle you easily. You get like, three, 400 million of us, they can't do a damn thing. So assert your individuality, your independence, as it were. Learn the basics of what you need, but the school system is just a tool. Use it for what it's worth and then cast it aside when it breaks, which is usually by about your second year of high school. Oh, and yeah, I do have my GED, but such as that really is necessary. I mean, I don't know. If you talk to me for 5 minutes, you can get an idea that I know what the hell I'm talking about and that I cuss a lot. But yeah, I don't need no piece of paper which says I'm generally equivalent to a high school, graduate. Because really, half of high school graduates think there are 52 states in the U.S. All right, what the hell? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just babbling now. So, man, I'm loving this, dude. Freaking 15 minutes now. That is great. I could just yammer on and on and on about how much I hate that little gray bar. God, get it off my screen. You move my upload button. Now you got some stupid gray bar down there. I know where to look for my subscriptions. All right, I don't need something sitting there popping them up there. Jesus. Oh yeah, and two, how the hell do you get featured? Does it cost money? Because I ain't gonna pay money to get featured, but I see people getting featured. Maybe that has nothing to do with education, but if anybody out there watches and knows how to do it, could you let me know? I mean, it probably won't happen, but I'd like to know that. Anyhow, all right. Well, thanks for suffering through 13 minutes of me. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace. Or victory or whatever.